Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening in. This is Answers from the Universe, and this is a new format that we've done with Jimi from Detroit. Typically, we do private sessions, and Jimi and I have discussions about different things that had opened up to the Detroit's issue with androids that Peter the Insider has mentioned. So, moving forward, this is going to be the new format. And, you know, it goes all over the place, particularly because Jimi is connected to the Agarthans, and you can see that he has many types of entanglements and unexplained in paranormal events that have occurred. So thank you for your support. We appreciate you. Thanks for those that support us on Patreon, those who are subscribers, and we will continue to provide information. We also have a Teespring store with, you know, just other things that maybe people can, you know, purchase a cup, or they can purchase a T-shirt or something. And we don't make a whole lot of money off of that, but it's just, you know, mostly so people can have some things to hold on to, maybe having the highest intention for humanity and things of that nature. So thank you for listening in. Maybe grab your cup of Timmy's coffee, and here goes. Whoa, now it's recording. Yeah. What did you just say?
I said my son, you mean?
Yeah. They directed him to have this elixir from Saint Germain. It's actually, well, it's a Saint Germain liqueur.
What do you mean? They told him how to make it?
No. They directed me to send him this liqueur from Saint Germain.
Oh, okay.
And it's gonna has elderflower in it, and it helps with being affected by certain energies, mostly from like consuming blood or some kind of thing, which, you know, created an infection related to, or like exposure to the vampirism, vampire stuff. But I'm wondering, I hate to say it, but I kind of picked that up when I was talking to you, that you might need it as well.
That I've been drinking blood, maybe?
And maybe in a previous, your soul.
Oh.
What they did was they tricked people. They'd have them make agreements on things, and they'd, you know, or this is the body of Christ, this is the blood of Christ.
Right.
And they would put some blood or stuff in the wine.
Catholic Church.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. Mm-hmm.
So they would put it in, when I would have visions, I'd see how they would kind of put it in the wine.
Oh, and I was a priest many times, you said, too. So
yeah, so maybe that's what it was. I just picked that up, that you should have it. Let me see if I can get a copy of it, and I'll show you. Because if I was home, I'd send you. I have an extra bottle, and I didn't know who it went to. And it's probably...
Well, I've had a relationship with Count St. Germain. Yes, and you know, I mean, he hasn't talked to me, you know, that I know of directly, but I'm just saying that I've felt kind of a connection to him, and I wasn't so sure, especially after what you said about him recently. He had been possibly involved with the dark side, and
I think, yeah, this is what it was. I think he was, you know, they were looking for longevity, and remember, all the royal families would consume blood of like virgins and stuff like that.
And babies.
And so, yeah. So they might have tricked you guys into like being involved in some of this stuff.
Oh man. Oh
yeah.
And you know, I wouldn't do that consciously.
Yeah.
So even though, Josh, you're saying, even though we haven't talked for a month, I did do, or we did do some really important stuff.
I think maybe that you transitioned your stuff, the really serious stuff that was coming around you, and now maybe you're ready for another phase of whatever's going on now. I don't know if this has anything to do with the androids, but I'm positive that there's androids around you still. We just haven't identified them yet.
Well, I'm certainly not in fear of them. And
but what it is like he kind of gave instructions on how to resolve some of the problems. It's actually the herbal remedy, so you could not do the liqueur. You could do elderberry essence, flower essence, and it'll probably do the same thing. He hasn't given instruction on that yet.
And I have some frankincense that I can use as aromatherapy.
Well, this is the elderflower in particular is what you're looking for.
Right. I'm just saying that I also have this. It can't hurt. Every now and then I take a whiff of scent.
Yeah. So in the process is to break. It's almost like it's some kind of healing process that happens.
Yeah. If you put that in you, it stays with you, right?
Yeah. It will at least break free of the infection. Because it affects the auric field apparently, and it's related to vows and agreements, or some kind of group that you're attached to that had blood oaths involved, or the transmutation of Christ's blood and all that stuff. Because even if it was Christ's blood, there's still some kind of reaction that happens. And I don't know if people get it's like a little psychotropic, but I know that between you and I, that some of the super soldiers, the earlier generations, went back in time and consumed some of the blood of Christ, or something related to the projects, because they were hurting. They were in a bad state.
Or possibly we were told that it was the blood of Christ, but it wasn't.
That too. It could be a vampire. That there was another person that I know that had some connection to Louisiana and some other things, and so there's a lot of esoteric stuff going on. And he thought he was going to just meet someone and have a glass of wine, and then it had a bit of blood in it. So then immediately it has like the magic. And hooking you in, and there's, I don't know if it creates a possession of some sort or attachments, but this is the stuff that's supposed to cleanse. So, but yeah, so that's what the thing is with Saint Germain. So we want to just help people to break away, because some of these systems are going down, and I don't want anyone entangled with them when they do.
Saint Germain involved in that too? You mentioned that.
Yeah, I asked Peter about it, because I said, now there was a comment about historical about someone by the name of Jacques Saint Germain in Louisiana, and it turned out that people were suspicious of him, and they went to his room, his hotel room, which we had left, and there were all these vials of blood there. So yeah, he was, consuming blood at the time. So he found a remedy for it. He's just sharing it for everybody.
Supposedly in other in other incarnations, he was Merlin. He was Joseph, father of Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know if he was Merlin. I don't feel that that's the same energy.
I don't know that for sure. I'm just repeating what I have read.
Yeah, I know. I've heard that too. Yeah, those are more of the magicians, which are interesting.
And the guy that was William Shakespeare, but it wasn't him that wrote it. It was, I forgot his name, but supposedly that was him too. But, I'm not, this guy seems pretty cool to me. I always thought, from what I
Yeah. I was looking at Hilarion today, and Hilarion is supposed to be one of the Ascended Masters, but he was like some kind of very much like a Catholic, Catholic priest or something like that, which was kind of weird. How did he get involved in all of this?
Well, so did I, Jess, and
Yeah.
I certainly wouldn't go there now, but I'm just saying, I guess over the years I was won over by that.
Yeah, I think all of us were probably involved in some way or another in much of this. I mean, you can't live in this world without being affected by some of the Christian environment, and even the Muslim. It depends on what part of the world that you're in. But I mean, it's a powerful force that has ruled many, many nations for many thousands of years.
Yeah,
So
I have a lot of insight into it now that I never had before. Just the way they've controlled us and got us off track, and looking outside ourselves for guidance instead of inward.
well, think about what's going on over in Rome right now.
Yeah.
I mean, well, not just now, but I mean, essentially, they've integrated the church and state.
Yeah, they're reporting on this child abuse and pedophilia and stuff a lot too on regular news.
Yeah, I know, and it's like, isn't there? There's nothing that can be more infuriating than to see the violations that have happened. And I personally have known people that have told me that they were like right there, almost selected, to get molested by a priest. They had a bunch of boys standing in line, and the kid ahead of him was selected, and that kid later confessed because they heard him scream. They heard the kid scream. He went in privately with the priest, and the nun was involved in everything in the school. And years later, it's like 14, 15 years old, he told everyone what happened. And he committed suicide. They're never right. These kids are never right.
Mm. Jess, is it possible that you can check my altar boy history to see if I was ever, because being that I was abducted by Nazis, I didn't even know that. So I guess I could have been. I'm not saying I want to remember any of that stuff, but did any of that ever happen with me? I don't remember it, but.
No, but it was going on around you.
Yeah. I guess I felt it because I never felt like I was really a part of that. I mean,
But you weren't a favorite though, were you?
I've never been a favorite of anyone.
Sometimes that's a good thing, because the ones that are favored are sometimes selected for these abuses, and it's a horrible thing. Like you think, wow, you're getting the approval of someone that you think is in leadership, and then it turns out to be a form of manipulation. They have some other ideas for you.
But they did have me hooked up with Opus Dei and all that stuff, and
Right, but not necessarily in your church, though. As much as I don't like a lot of the stuff that they do, it would never, either it happened or it didn't happen, and I don't believe it happened there.
Okay, well that's good. I didn't think it did, and I didn't remember anything like that, and
Yeah.
That might have broke me because I was going through enough in my own family,
Yeah. But yeah, that's probably the entities were, doing that stuff to you and your own family, so they probably didn't need the church to do it. That's their way of traumatizing humans, as well as taking their energy and life force. So in some ways they use your family instead, which is a horrible thing. It was traumatizing enough. There's this guy, George Moses Horton. No, here's the name Moses, and here's the name Horton, Tim Hortons.
Right.
What was the name of Jimmy's? I mean, not Jimmy. Gregory's relative.
J.C. Hartman.
But wasn't one of the guys a baseball player's named Moses?
Well, that was
we talked about.
That was the one that you found from the late 1800s.
Might have been this guy right here, because it's coming up. So this, for some reason, maybe this guy is trying to speak out through Gregory somehow. So his name is George Moses Horton. He was an African-American poet from North Carolina, first published in southern United States. The book, The Hope of Liberty, was published in 1829 while he was still enslaved.
Wow.
He is one of the few African-American writers to have their poetry published while still enslaved.
I thought slavery was over in 1865.
This was 1829.
Oh, I thought you said 19.
No.
Okay. All right. So, and also, there was a ball player that did make it to the major leagues and was a very good player for the Detroit Tigers named Willie Horton. He might have been related to this guy.
So then you got the Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
You got the name Moses. So this guy has the name George Moses Horton.
Yeah. And Willie was one of my favorite players, too. I have his autograph, and I met him a few times, and he's just such a great guy.
I'll put the link in there, but I'm thinking that this guy is also, it's almost someone is trying to give us a message here, because you got Tim Hortons, and you got the name Moses, who was that baseball player who wasn't he supposed to be the real first African American baseball player?
Yeah,
but he wasn't on record.
Right. He just played for a minute, so
yeah. What was his name?
I forget. It was obscure. I'd never heard it before, so I don't.
Let me get that name again. And you said that he played for a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because Tim Hortons sells coffee. All right, so let's see.
Have you ever
Moses Fleetwood Walker?
Yeah, that's it. You ever heard anybody naming their kid Moses?
It's not common, but all right. So it would have been in Alabama. It would have been a notorious slave trader. And let's see, in 1850s, Duncan, someone by the name of Duncan.
First name or last name?
I don't know. Owned more than 1,000 slaves, making him the largest resident slave holder in Mississippi. By 1860, Duncan's ownerships of 858 slaves in Issaquah County made him the second national to the estate of Joseph John Ward of South Carolina, who controlled 1,100. Stephen Duncan, maybe?
Stephen? But who was that to me?
Oh.
Was that me?
Oh my God, no. Wow. It could look like you.
So that's why they're coming after me, because
All right. This guy looks like you. This guy looks like you.
Okay, well, we need to do a revocation.
Stephen Duncan.
We need to do a revocation.
You gotta freak out when you see him. I mean, not identical, but you're gonna freak out when you see him. He whatever entity was in him. Stephen Duncan became the major planter and banker in Mississippi in the antebellum years, migrating there from his home state of Pennsylvania after getting a medical degree, became the wealthiest cotton planter in the South prior to American Civil War, and also invested in railroads, Midwest lands. He owned thousands of acres of land and 1,000 slaves in 1850s, cultivating both cotton and sugar cane as commodity crops. He and James Brown, a wealthy planter and U.S. Senator from Louisiana, paid for the purchase of land in Canada to aid American free blacks from Cincinnati, Ohio, found a new community which became known as the Wilberforce Colony. Co-founder of the Mississippi colonization. So I don't know if he ended up helping them in the end, free the people of the color from the state.
I don't think he looks that much like me. Of course, he doesn't have a beard and long hair like me, but
no, he doesn't.
But
his nose is different. Maybe it's not the right one.
But
why am I drawn to this? Well, this guy, they said he was bad, and this guy doesn't seem like he's bad, but he did own them. but then he turned around and changed it. Maybe he was trying to cover and clean up what he was doing.
And then they had the Civil War was happening right after. It says he was the second largest slave owner in the United States, and that was 1860, and then that's when the Civil War happened right then. So,
but then it's saying that he was the largest resident slave owner, but then it's like he fixed it, like he tried to pay for land for them to go to. Am I reading this right? His goal was to relocate freed blacks and newly freed slaves to the developing colony of Liberia on the African continent.
And that did happen. Liberia did happen. That was formed by ex-slaves from the United States. So that's who.
So he was involved in that.
That's who founded that country in Africa.
But we don't know how he. The assumption is that he was kind to them and everything, but he still was a slave owner.
Right.
And maybe he, Sarah Jane Duncan and John Ellis had 2 children. Okay. It's weird. Maybe he was a time traveler or something.
So they hooked me in with his karma, is what you're saying, I guess.
He did, yeah, somehow. It's almost like he used the slaves for what he needed, and then at some point, it makes him look like he's a good guy, that he helped them. But there's some, how did he treat them? We don't know.
That must have been on my daddy's side, because my mom's side didn't get over here till 1920. So
no, it wasn't neither. It's not. This is not related to you.
Oh, well, how did it get attached to me?
I don't know. He somehow, either they thought you were him, they thought you looked like him.
Oh.
Somehow he shifted his energy signatures, so it's kind of like, yeah, I think it was a mistaken identity. I don't think this is supposed to be karmic. And I don't think, from what they're telling me, he was a notorious slave owner, meaning that he made it look like he was the hero afterwards. But you have to keep in mind, these are businessmen. And businessmen are really savvy at cleaning up and making themselves look good, like after the war, after the Civil War. And let's see, when did he do this? I don't know. They're saying he did this in the 1830s.
Yeah. Him and James Brown, the Godfather of Soul. No, but yeah,
I don't know if I have my information right or not, but I'll just say that this is the one that I'll take a look and see if there's someone else, but there's something suspicious about this guy, Stephen Duncan.
See what your guides can tell you about this, Jess, because this is very confusing.
Yeah, well, he looks like he's got a cleaned up history.
Yeah.
And if he's a time traveler, he could have saw that they were going to win, so now he wanted to look like, that they were going to get their freedom, and he wanted to look like a hero. That's what it is.
He didn't want to be demonized.
I'm not going any further. That's it. That's it. So this is part of like Mobius or something, messing around and jumping in and trying to make money and then stepping out. Yeah, and then they have to hook in the energy field to somebody, so somebody else takes a fall, and very likely you somehow had interaction with him, and then that was the trade-off. Named Stephen Duncan.
So I'm being blamed for something that he ought to take the blame for.
Yeah, they're gonna break it.
Cool.
All right, hold on.
All right. You weren't really worried about me, were you, Jeff?
Yeah, I was a little bit. Not a whole lot, but I felt like there was something else going on.
Couldn't you check in with me though, and check my energy and see how I am?
Yeah, I did, and honestly, the things were like crazy. Yeah. All right, so Jimmy, I'd like to clear this with you and cut you off from this guy. that was trying to have you deal with his karma.
Oh yes, please do that. George Moses Horton, is that his name or no?
Mobius did this. So this goes back to Mobius. All the stuff that we just talked about. This guy George Moses. Stephen Duncan is all related to Mobius. And so they can deal with you and interface with you now, and then go back and do all this stuff in the past. So it's not like it happened first and then you're here. They can interact with you here and then mess with your past. And so then you find that your life was kind of like what happened with me with Mengele and how he interfered with my life.
Yeah, well, he interfered with mine too.
Yours too. So and this Mobius thing too, because you're interacting with these people from Mobius.
Right. Okay, well, let's
This is a problem. You know, you try to tell people to stay away from some of this stuff. They don't know that they have the capacity to just go down your timeline and mess you up. And I suppose a person could get, paranoid or whatever, but there was a person that, you can hear the truth or you can ignore it and say, oh, this is BS and none of it happened, and then that's fine, and you can just go on your life and still have your problems and not worry about it, or you can acknowledge it, see if you can get a clearing on it, and then have a better quality of life. I mean, it's a choice. I think the latter, but for some people, it's more important for them to hold on to their belief system than to actually free themselves.
And to accept this would be just too much for them at this point. They just aren't ready.
But it's a choice. You know what I mean? They believe the most crazy stuff possible already. I mean, some of the stuff that is in the way that we're being taught by the government and the things that we're taught in the school system, stuff that's being taught, heard from the media,
and religion,
and so you've got, and even just like down, family lines and whatever, word of mouth stories and urban stories. So you got all sorts of different kinds of things going on. So what sacrifice is it for them to acknowledge something like this, the possibility of something like this? It's not really that strange when you compare to all the other strange things that people have already accepted.
Right. That's bullshit, because they don't want you to know what the real deal is. They want you to believe stupid bullshit that doesn't make any sense, but hey, that's what they want you to believe, so you're mistaken.
Right. All right, so
yeah, let's break this, Jess. Come on, let's do it.
All right, Stephen Duncan.
Okay.
He was born in 1787 and died in 1867. I want you to break all ties, contracts, agreements.
Okay. I break all ties, contracts, vows, agreements, blood oaths with Stephen Duncan and any dimension time stream in between, parallel, pocket,
alternate space, parallel, in between space, pocket realities.
With Stephen Duncan and George Moses Horton. And anyone else? Mobius?
And Mobius.
And I thank thee for it is done, and I know it. Broken.
They even went into your dream space and asked you to consent to some things.
Oh.
Unbelievable.
I don't even remember my dream space, so is that going to free that up some so that maybe I can access it, or?
Eventually. Not all of it. I mean, some of it's just done and over with.
All right.
Not all your dreams it's not necessary for you to remember. But in time where you'll have more openness about your dreams. Yeah, if they were monitoring and controlling you, they do one of the two. Either you get these weird lucid, upsetting lucid dreams every single night, or else you're in another space where you don't get any at all. Kind of like Donald Marshall says, it's the clone center kind of thing where they wipe out your dream space.
Right. I go to sleep. I wake up. I don't remember anything.
Yeah.
And that sucks because, now that I know what dreaming is for, that's my sovereign space,
Yeah.
It's screwed out of it for a long time now.
All right. So let me just check and see if it's been effective. This is important. See, they didn't want you to do this.
How does he spell that, Stephen? S-T-E-P or V?
With a P.
Okay.
What I'll do is I'll put a link in there so you can look at it later.
Okay. No, I did see that.
Done.
I saw that already. You don't have to put that back in there. I already saw it. It's still in there. I'm just saying.
You saw the shared screen?
Yeah, the one with Stephen Douglas. It popped up.
Yeah.
I read some of that. But it's still in there.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we need to break with that faction or that group?
No, it's going to be easier. So they're going to trace the entity of Stephen Duncan. They're going to find him.
Oh, it's Duncan.
Yeah.
I wrote Douglas for some reason.
Duncan, yeah.
Okay, right, Duncan. Okay.
What's the deal with Liberia? There's something there, too, that you're related to.
Well, Patty used to have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And his name is Corva, with a K. Korvah, I believe he spelled it. And he's still alive, but she told me not too long ago he was dying, so she's not with him anymore, but she was with him for years, and I always thought he was just using her, but she still has some kind of feeling for him. That's the only.
And is it for what? What's he have to do with Liberia?
He was born there.
Oh.
He's from there. He's African. And he lives in Kalamazoo, I believe, Michigan.
Does she still see him? She still talks to him?
No. I don't know if she talks to him. She might text him or something or talk to him on the phone, but she, not too long ago, she told me he was dying and she was all upset and everything. He had, what was it? He had, something was killing him, but it didn't. I sent him healing. I don't know if that helped him.
Yeah, and I mean, how old is he? And maybe it's his time?
He's probably in the 50s.
Oh, it's kind of young.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's had a lot of hardships, and he lost an eye, and I think he's got a lot of health issues. But what is it? Is that coming up? Are you seeing that? Is that what you were? What was, was bothering you about Liberia? Was him?
It could be. Let's see what he might have been a gateway to all of the slaves that were coming through, and they might have been coming through Patty, like the slave lineage. And here again, them confusing you with this other guy is not a good thing. This other guy, Duncan.
Yeah. Well,
George, was it George? No.
George Moses Horton?
No, not George Moses Horton. That Duncan guy.
Oh.
What was his name? First name? Stephen Duncan. Yeah. So they were confusing you with Stephen Duncan. See, now you got all these people that were freed, but they might have seen it as something else. Are they in poverty over there?
In Liberia?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, most of Africa is, but Liberia was supposedly American slaves that went over there and formed a country. So whether they're in poverty, I don't know. But I know Africa. I've heard that Africa has been cursed. They have a whole lot of mineral wealth underneath them, and they're not able to bring it out or benefit from it because they're cursed, is what I was heard or what I read, and I don't know if it's true or not. But if we can break that curse on Africa, Jess, let's do that.
Well, it's from ETs, and it's thousands of years of ET visitations. I mean, there's there's wars that have happened there.
Right.
Extraterrestrial, and there's definitely, they say that the barrenness of the ground. Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's hot and everything, but they do have some strange, different types of things that were created. Kind of not like the pyramid, but they have some ancient locations where they did a lot of different things. Not just like the regular tribal stuff, but much more advanced type of structures
and
throughout Africa. And so there's been civilizations that were very advanced there.
Supposedly that's where the Anunnaki first were interacting and creating our form of human to be their slaves and mine gold for them.
Well, this is the early slave concept, and we've had this discussion before, even with some of my conversations with Andronicus, because he said that humans were not supposed to be enslaved, but by the time the Anunnaki got here, other civilizations were already enslaving humans because humans had the capacity to accomplish a lot and to be very aggressive, to physically resilient and being able to build. And he says, take a look at your world right now. That was built by humans.
And we have the God spark too. Also.
Right. So there's been other types of slavery that's been here before the Anunnaki, but Anunnaki definitely were, a group that started, or the part that we recognized. They said the reason why, I don't know if you listened to that transmission or not, because that was the Andronicus transmissions.
What, the last one?
It might have been the last one or the one before it.
Oh yeah, I listened to it.
Okay, so you don't remember the conversation we talked about this, about the slavery part, and he said that the reason, by the time that the Anunnaki arrived and started to use humans as slaves, he said that they had already been using humans as slaves much longer before, so they didn't think it was a big deal to document it, and they created those tablets.
Right. But they also messed with our DNA to cut off our consciousness before they made us slaves, so we couldn't be problematic to them.
I don't think they had to try that very hard to do that. I think that might have even happened before.
Well, supposedly some of these Anunnaki were very good geneticists, and they were able to cut off our third pole or something. I mean, Patty Broussard talks about that, that third pole being cut.
I personally think it happened before then. She thinks it happened at that time period. I think it even happened before then. And also, I did see that there were the Acadians had a project where they were working with this semi-ape species. It was humanoid ape. And I saw them trying to manipulate it. So I don't know. I feel like it might have even come before, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Anunnaki were very straightforward. This is what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't help that humans were very anxious to be following a god. Someone shows up, has incredible abilities, and they had advanced tech and all sorts of stuff. So of course they're on their knees worshiping and offering sacrifices, and they've been doing this for such a long time, because humans have something in them that makes them want to worship.
Not me. I don't have anything.
I mean, you can have love and adoration for someone, that's fine, but not to the point where you're vulnerable to. These were not real divine beings. These were just extraterrestrials that had more advanced knowledge than us. They were, advanced beyond us, and also some of these time travelers too had manipulated them. There was a story of someone kind of posing as Odin, and had a whole lineage, and he was in like a time travel project. Went in, and he ended up getting married, having children, and their children had children, And then he found out from the project that, you know, he just altered history. So he had to go back and figure out a way to have them all killed. So, you know, and that's written down somewhere. So this is what happens is you know, you have these like really weird scenarios. Can you imagine going back and killing your whole family lineage?
Yeah, just because you have free will and you can do it.
Yeah.
That's got to really mess with your karma, though.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying is, you know, there's a lot of different things that we have little bits and pieces of knowledge about what's happened. And on occasion, I'll stumble on something. I'll just see it as a vision. And then it doesn't coincide with what history has recorded. But I kind of stick to it because even though it's not, I look for other evidence of it, and sometimes I'll find more information. But history has its slants, and it's not exhaustive. I mean, it's has particulars that, you know, we're focused on depending on who the writer was and who they thought was important. You know, and if you were in a position of rulership or presidency or something like that, you would definitely make the records of history. And that's why some people think it's appealing to be famous.
Right, whether it's true or not. In other words, you write what you want out there, whether it's true or not.
Right.
Well, Jess, see if there's anything else we need to clear before we move on.
Yeah, no, this is a good one. So now you got this. You were hooked into the Liberating thing, and it looks like your sister Patty was involved in this. And it could be that some of the energies around Patty could still be some of these beings that are falsely identifying you as this guy Stephen Duncan.
Okay, well, let's take care of that shit.
Yeah.
So what, I have to revoke Liberia and Patty?
Let's see. No, I don't think you have to revoke anything. I just need to close a portal. Hold on, I'm just like focusing. Because that could be why Patty is a little bit like she's influenced all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I don't know why, but I'm seeing this ship, and the mast on the ship just broke. And something's happening where the actual, the mast itself, it looks like a big white sheet just dropping on the ship. I see that you're there. It's another lifetime.
Is it Viking?
No, 1530. Ship of England. Connecting to a slave ship that nobody wrote about, nobody knows about.
But it has some significance to what we're dealing with right now with Liberia and.
Yep. They were going to have you connect to it, and then instead the ship went down, and then another ship connected to it. But the guy that was in charge was that guy, Stephen Duncan.
Huh.
There he is. Right. Just waited, be patient, get the information. All right, so he saw you, told you that you failed. Since you failed, he'll correct the matter for you.
Oh, thank you.
I'll take it from here. Can you wade your way back home? Like, in other words, your ship is junk. You asked if they could give you a ride. He said there's not going to be enough room. We have, it will cost us in slaves.
So, no.
So he was doing this in the 1500s.
So not only did he screw me over there, he screwed me over later, too.
Yep.
Oh.
I think it started here. I think they're showing us the origin of where you met him and how you got hooked into his stuff. This is incredible.
Nothing boring about my spiritual life, man.
You're entangled in all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, some people are, and I've met a few people like you that just kind of were at the wrong place at the wrong time.
And for some reason, I'm real easy to take advantage of.
Yeah.
I,
Like that Zoroastrian lifetime. I mean, it could be that you're a targeted individual, and I'll say it like this, not like from the government per se, but targeted from the ETs because they knew that you're a Agarthan. And I think when they see someone that's incarnated, then, you know, that's,
too.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not
See you as,
thing, but you know.
yeah, it's the vulnerability part where they see you as someone that has connections to another faction somewhere that could serve them. But they also see that you're vulnerable. That's why people say, well, why does that happen to this person? And well, how come I didn't have all of that? And I'm like, well, it depends on
We don't
depends
know
on what they're looking for. You know, you could some of the stuff's, you know, negative actually is not, but
right.
I don't know.
I've been into some negative stuff too, and didn't know it, but and wouldn't have done it if I'd have known.
Everyone has their own soul journey, so it's unique for each person. But the entanglements that some people have are amazing, and you're one of them. You know, you get some very intricate entanglements with some major issues that happened on the planet. And I think it's the Agarthan part that is making them interested in it.
And they affect me into the future.
Yeah.
Until they're broken or until they're stopped. So has that been accomplished, Jess? Have we taken care of this?
Let me make sure. I don't know, they're pulling something out. Oh, they're shutting down his portal. I think he keeps on traveling back to this point, 1520s. What the heck what happened over there in the 1520s in England? Let me see.
Let's shut that portal down and get it shut down permanently because we don't need any more.
No, they shut down the portal already, but I want to see what he was looking for. Wikipedia events.
That dude needs to leave me alone. And so does Mobius.
Yeah, Henry VIII was in charge.
He was scandalous as hell.
Beatings of a Christian man. Something Cardinal Wolsey. Well, they got the layout of everything that happened in England during that time. Edward Stafford, 3rd Duke of Buckingham, executed for treason. Charles V, Holy Roman Emperor, visits King Henry VIII. England presents an ultimatum to France and Scotland. Let's see. Something about a poll tax on consent of Parliament. Coinage. What I'm looking for is see if they have anything on slaves. Let's see what they say about slave trade in the 1530s. Atlantic slave trade timeline. King Charles I of Spain sanctions the direct transport of slaves from Africa to American colonies. Portuguese begin using African slaves in Brazil.
Gotta pick that cotton.
Yeah, well, this is Brazil. I mean, that's south, so I don't know if that's coffee, maybe.
Oh yeah.
They had transatlantic slave trade, 1530. One of the largest forced migrations in human history. Maybe look at that, huh? That's.
Yeah, like I said, it was going hot and heavy back then. That was before we were even a country.
But that's just the African slaves. There's been slavery that's been going on well before then.
And there still is. We're considered slaves by the Illuminati, so
Yeah.
it never stopped.
Yeah, so you see that Virginia, Massachusetts, some of the early colonies legalizing slavery, Barbados. Yeah, it's mostly and then Maryland passes a law in 1663. So we're talking about the 30s is when it was the Portuguese and the Atlantic slave trade. That's probably what that was, the Atlantic slave trade, because I don't see England directly involved, but maybe indirectly involved. Looks like the Spanish were doing that quite a bit as well. And the Portuguese brought it to the Americas. So, but like I said, there's been others that have gone through slavery too earlier in history.
And Jess, I've always felt a connection to black people. When I worked for the state, it was a majority of black people that were my coworkers.
Yeah.
And I never felt out of place. I mean, I did have every now and then I'd have one that would, it was just anti-white people, and I was white. But for the most part,
that was like you were living out his karma.
I guess. And Patty, just bringing up Patty, she went into the office I retired from the other day and told them who she was. They all were asking her about me and saying how was he doing, and they all remember me. So,
all right, so it's almost like this guy Stephen was almost acting as if he was your alternate, and they said that this is a great thing. And come to think of it, we're looking at some of the stuff that happened in Virginia in the 1530s was one of the key places that are mentioned as a part of the slave trade. They said there's two other, so he was acting as if he was you, but like your alter ego.
Man.
I'm positive that this has to do with the Agarthan thing. And also, when you think about it, it's the Anunnaki might have been giving the Agarthans a hard time by doing stuff like this.
Has it been resolved, though?
No, there's two more things that they want. That part is resolved. There's two more things that we need to fix before we finish this session. I'm glad that we're doing this.
Yeah, me too. I need to get this stuff cleared up. I mean,
it's impacting everyone. You want to see the ascension, and you want to see the resolve for the money issues, the government. You want to see the slave system shut down.
Right.
Yeah, this is part of the key to it.
I want to see us be able to enjoy abundance. Everyone enjoy abundance, not just some. Abundance means everyone. Everyone.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Absolutely.
And I want to be able to see you and celebrate with you when this happens too.
Yeah, I want everyone to be liberated. And yeah, this is really weird. All right, so and it could be that some people are negative to you because of this whole alternate imposter that you had.
Yeah, I had that attachment. I didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, he's not an attachment. He's just like a mimicker, someone that was there to mess with you.
Yeah, he was latched on to me. He was identified.
He used you to get away with stuff. Yeah. He took maybe some of your birthright, and you ended up having to take the karma for it. Weird, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's not weird. It's just strange how shit like that can happen. But
Doesn't happen to everybody. I'm pretty positive it's your Agarthan connection. And for all we know, he is, yeah, he might be a part of Mobius, but he also might be part of Anunnaki. I'm hearing something by the name of someone by the name of Crawford.
It doesn't ring a bell, but
He's very much involved. Okay, wait a minute. Someone else from Mobius.
you got a first name?
They just call him Crawford.
Well,
Maybe there is a first name somewhere, but they're not giving it to me right now.
wouldn't be Sam, would it?
Who is Sam Crawford?
He was he's somebody named Crawford that I've heard of in the past. So he's the next Detroit Tiger, Hall of Famer.
No.
Okay.
Nope. Crawford and Gates. All right, so those two.
Crawford and Gates.
Let me see if that's a Gate, or it's someone with the last name Gates, like Bill Gates or something.
Yeah.
Okay, just break off all contracts with them, ties, agreements.
I break all contracts, vows, agreements, blood oaths. I forget any, Jeff?
Yep. All time, space, reality, past, present, future.
Time, space, reality, past, present, future.
Alternate space, parallel space.
Dimensions, parallel.
Yep. Alternate.
False realities, alternate realities, in betweens, and I think it's done.
With Crawford and Gates.
Gates. Is there a year involved here?
Nope.
In that 1830s?
This is just straight out Mobius.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mobius. Crawford and Gates. And Mobius. Did I break it with Monarch too? I mean, I don't know if they're connected.
Hold on, it's changing. Something just shifted. Wow.
You notice we haven't been interfered with much, Jess?
We haven't what?
Been interfered with too much.
I know, but things are getting, because of the Android stuff isn't as bad anymore.
Oh.
Something shifted, almost saw like a vehicle, or they were trying to do something to our present time, and it pulled backwards, like it's not going to happen now.
Should I write down Monarch there next to Mobius for that reason, or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Does it seem like that's when it happened? Man.
They said that they're not able to use the Agarthans as entangled in some of their agendas, so that the Agarthans are getting pulled into stuff, and they're trying to avoid that. Like as if the Agarthans were trapped in a few different experiences, like serious stuff on the Earth, that they couldn't break through. They were stuck.
But they're good now?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, at least they're released from that part, which is good, because they're not they can correct something because they're no longer entangled in the agenda. So, for example, if you're a part of a corrupt, a political system, you can't fight against it because you're kind of a part of it, and you've been in agreement, and you have, maybe participated in whatever it was that created that scenario, and so it's like, how are you gonna turn against yourself?
Right.
So they're saying, for you to not be a part of the criminal behavior that Mobius has committed, it alleviates not only you, but even the other Agarthans, because they didn't want to cut you off from them, so that they're holding on to you, but it's like you're entangled.
Is there any Agarthans that I should try and contact in my meditations, or?
Not yet. There's a lot of imitators out there, and to be careful still. It's not completely cleared.
Well,
And they'll try to hook you in again with something.
Well, Merle is the one that I'm connected to most closely, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, Merle is you.
Right, right. But there's an aspect of him in Agartha too, right? On the fifth or sixth dimension or whatever, wherever they're at.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. See, I'm just trying to understand, Jess.
No. That's good to ask questions. It's important you understand. Otherwise, you can't resolve it.
Right. And I certainly want to. Wow, man, this is sweet. Anything else? You said there was something else, or are we done with
If
this?
there's anything else.
Yeah, you said there were 2 more things we needed to do.
Yeah, the Mobius has gotten into the chambers, and they've altered some plants that they weren't supposed to alter. Obviously, Monsanto did, a lot to the seeds and everything that we have now.
But what are you talking about, the chambers?
It's some kind of plant chambers that Andronica's created.
Oh.
But I'm pretty sure the Agarthans are probably watching over it.
So can we get them the hell out of there?
Some of the early food sources, we have to pull them out as if they never had touched it.
Okay.
And then maybe we can clean up our food. Oh, that's interesting.
Yes. Oh, babe.
Wow.
That is cool. Wow.
Right.
I can't think of anything better to do than this.
Thomas J. Thomas and then J.
J-A-Y?
I think it was just like J's middle name. They're not saying the last name.
J initial?
Yeah. Someone who went by the name of Thomas J.
TJ. You know your guides will let you know.
Whoa. Oh my God.
What?
Oh my God. Thomas J. Watson.
Watson.
Was an American businessman. He served as the chairman and CEO of International Business Machines. He oversees the company growth in the international force from 1914 to 1956. Watson developed IBM's management style corporate culture from John Henry Patterson's training. This is the IBM Watson. This is the computer that the time travelers were looking for.
Wow.
Wow. So this relates to, oh my God.
IBM was involved with the Nazis too.
What the hell? How are you involved in all this stuff?
I don't know, Jess. I wish I did.
What in the world?
Damn.
Are you serious? Do you know what this is?
They were involved with the Nazis too.
This is the John Titor incident. Did you ever watch John Titor?
No. No, I didn't.
What the hell?
They helped the Nazis with their computers and stuff.
All right.
So there's the Mobius connection.
Manhattan, New York.
Manhattan Project.
He died in Manhattan.
Who did?
It was this Thomas J. Watson.
Oh.
So somehow he was involved in this Mobius stuff.
Yeah, well, he died in 56, but they were well developed by then. Hell, he was young too. He was only 45, 44, or what, 42? Yeah, he was young. They might have taken him out early.
He had an incident. Watson had an incident in his autobiography. He says, one day my dad went to a roadside saloon to celebrate a sale and had too much to drink. And when the bar closed, he found his entire rig, horse buggy, and samples had been stolen. Wheeler and Wilcox fired him and dunned him for the lost property. Word got around, of course, and took Dad more than a year to find another steady job. Watson would later enforce strict rules at IBM against alcohol consumption, even off the job, according to Tom Jr., his son.
Jess, can you tell me why I'm involved in so much of this bullshit? Seriously, I don't know myself. You might be able to find out for me, but I don't
All
know.
right. The story of John Titor is that he came from the future into our reality. He was looking for an IBM Watson computer.
How do you spell his last name?
Titor.
Okay.
How in the world are you involved in this?
What are we doing here, Jess? Fixing all the problems in the world or what?
Jeez. All right, so John Titor comes back from the future and has to find the IBM Watson that supposedly has the code that they're looking for to resolve some kind of glitch in the future. And what's interesting, too, I know another time traveler came back looking for seeds. And what did I say? That they had access into the seeds, getting the seeds. They did something and altered it. This is the place where I saw that prior to Monsanto and how they got a hold of all of our food somehow. Prevented us from having anything that was organic and natural.
Right.
And unaltered. Because it was about, the manipulation and control, right?
Of the DNA of the seed.
DNA, yeah. Which then integrates into our atomic physiology.
So are we helping that situation?
Wow, this just blew me away. What does this guy? What does he have to do with you? Oh, geez, you were there. You were there. You knew him. I don't know if you worked for him.
Who, Titor?
No.
Watson?
Thomas J. Watson. Yeah.
All right.
Let's see.
Seems like I've been involved in some pretty messed up stuff.
You had a business. You had a business and you knew him in that time.
What kind of business?
Like a paper business.
Because if it was me, I would have done hemp instead of paper.
Now you would have.
Well, yeah. Even then, it was stronger and longer lasting, and it didn't have to cut down trees, and you could get more crops a year than a tree takes forever.
You want to know what it reminds me of is there's like I don't think it was this big, but it was sort of like along those lines. Let's see, business supplies. I think it's Watson. I think it's named Watson, believe it or not. WB Mason. WB Mason.
WB Mason. I've heard that name.
Yep, that's it. That's the one I was looking for. It kind of like, how that's like dated. It's like another time period.
That's an office supply company?
Yeah, 1888.
Oh. Fuck, they didn't even have offices back then, did they?
No, they had, whatever they supplied for. They had offices in the 1800s.
Not like they have now.
You've seen the pictures, right? This guy with the mustache and everything. WB Mason.
Yeah.
You were someone like that, just sort of like dressed up in that time period.
It's good to find this stuff out, but it's also kind of disturbing, some of the stuff.
Because you were selling paper goods?
Well, no, not just that, but some of this other stuff I was involved in. That I'm not saying I consciously knew I was doing bad, but dark things.
I don't. Yeah, but I think you were just, supplying a need, and yeah.
No, but am I a good soul, Jess, or am I? Because hell, it sounds like I've done a lot of messed up things too. I don't feel.
Yeah. Why is this messed up? That you sold paper?
Oh, no, no. I'm just talking about some of this blood stuff. And,
Blood stuff, I think, affected everyone, that maybe lots and lots of people. And I think it had a lot to do with the teachings of you have to substantiation.
oh, substantiation. Okay.
The one where the point where you're dealing with transubstantiation is when you're dealing with the changing of the blood, or this is the blood in the body of Christ. This is about, drink this wine. This is a symbol of the blood. It's something like that. Just the agreement of that, I think, is wrong, and I think it exposes people.
Right. It involves us with human sacrifice, as far as I'm concerned, and
yeah,
into that. But I never bought into that with the church. But I mean,
there's a lot about blood sacrifices, and even some of the early teachings, even Judaism, where they said you have to kill something in order.
Right.
I don't know. That was one of their gods, but they also did it. They also worshiped Baal or Molech, or one of them. I think it was Molech.
They still do.
Yeah. So, that's, I mean, not all of them, of course, but yeah, it's like that same idea.
A lot of them do without even knowing it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like it seems to me like the God that the Christians pray to and worship is not real creator.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's something else. Whether it's Anunnaki or Moloch or Baal or Satan or Lucifer, whoever the hell it is, but it is not the real creator.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't really buy this whole Luciferian thing either. I mean, they drop a lot on him. Yeah. But we don't know about a lot of these beings. They put on a good face and a bad face. They have a duality.
Yeah, and they like to switch them up.
Well, think of it. You can create a problem, solve a problem. So everyone has a hardship and problems, and then then you have to worship me in order to get that removed. Right. Well, how do I know that you didn't create it in the first place? And you don't know that.
As far as I know, the Creator doesn't want to be worshipped.
Not like that. No.
The Creator is just one with everything.
The whole leveraging kind of attitude. But yeah, some of these beings have dualities. Some of them are, creating scenarios and then painting themselves as being the divine force only. I'm not saying that all are evil, but blaming everything on Lucifer is kind of weak. And I saw someone do this whole study on the Bible and how that they were calling him the son of the morning star or something like that. And they said, well, it doesn't make any sense, and this is true. I've seen this in that many of the translations, the son of the morning star is called Lucifer in one place of the Bible, and then another place of the Bible it's Jesus. Yeah. So you tell me who is who, what is what, according to their teaching. So, and that was written a long time ago. So, do you want me to find out what the story was here? So you were friends with Watson. Okay. I think you were older than him.
So, now wait, this is, Thomas J. Watson, okay.
Yeah.
And so, what, did he get some kind of direction from me? I mean, what's our connection with IBM? Because, I don't want to have any ties with them either.
I don't think you were supposed to be connected to him. That's another one. Because IBM he probably got the tech from Mobius some way. I mean, they probably don't say that they're Mobius, but yeah, somewhere. Yep.
Raycos or whoever.
I would just break ties with him.
Okay.
They have some kind of codes around you, so they're breaking all the codes. This is how Mobius put all these codes around you.
Who's breaking them?
Andronicus.
All right. Thank you, Andronicus. Is the Council of Five involved here too?
In kind of in a distant way, not directly. It's mostly the Agarthans.
Oh,
We're concerned that you were entangled in all this stuff.
oh, man.
They're telling me more work has to be done, but they said that this is probably enough. We're going to let it kind of settle in and see how it goes. There was regarding.
Oh.
I'm asking about the seeds and everything, and integration of access. They said that's something bigger that we have to look at further, and maybe make a note of it that you have to look at it.
Oh, this is huge. This is our food. This is what we eat.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
Something about sorghum. Sorghum, I heard. That's like a sugar, isn't it? Or a grain?
I'm not sure what it is, but I've heard of it.
It said that was altered. SORGHUM.
GHUM. Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure how to spell it. Thanks.
Weird.
But I had heard of it. I just didn't know what it was.
I think it's used as additives and things. So maybe it's something worth looking into, see what it was and how it was altered. Make a note of that. We're going to include that in the list.
Yeah, I got it.
And they also legumes or like beans, peas, things like that.
Yeah.
So then, all right, I was just talking recently about peanuts and how that they're a legume and that they are definitely had to have been altered for everyone to have allergies.
Yeah, well, not everyone does. I don't. But.
A large amount of people, especially the younger generation. I mean, technically, when I was younger, it was abnormal for anyone to have a peanut allergy.
Right.
I mean, you were really stood out, and now we're looking at maybe 50% of the children in the classroom have a problem with it.
It's kind of like what is that disease that many people are coming down with now? Kids are being born with it.
Autism?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you hardly ever heard about that before, and then now all of a sudden it's like every other kid, it seems like.
Yeah. Well, another thing too is a lot of people don't realize is asthma.
Yeah.
Is something else that was really big, and I remember lots and lots of kids having asthma when my son was young. And there's a lot of different things that people don't fully notice. They think it's normal. It's not. And yeah, some of it's environmental, but not all of them. But I think you're doing some really great work, Jimmy. I mean, you're helping the Agarthans to be disentangled from a lot of this stuff so that they can actually help humans. It was like their hands were tied in a lot of areas, and probably people were wondering why the Agarthans were not helping more. And I think we're starting to see a little bit more about it. I mean, when we first saw your incident, with the androids, but the androids was only the covering, and there's been so many different layers, and I think it's just coming down to.
That was a Mobius connection, right?
Yeah.
Well, Jess, I mean, don't downplay your role here, because without you, I wouldn't have been able to do any of this. So don't think I don't realize that.
I realize it. No, I appreciate it. Well, we're all doing this together. We all do our part, Jimmy.
I know, but I mean, for you to say that like as if you had nothing to do with it, I mean, shit, I would be lost without you. Look where I'd be without you. All this shit I got on me, and I didn't even know it.
Yeah, and then that's the stuff that, once you release that, then you can have your life back.
Yes. And I had no idea why my life was so fucked up. So,
Starting to make sense, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But, not, like I said, it's because of the connection. Sometimes people say, oh, that's really cool, you have an Agarthan connection. Yeah, well, usually you're the targeted one. because of it. So,
Oh,
so
thanks.
here's an example of it.
I'm so glad I'm a Garthan.
Yeah.
But I am, because I was, this is something that was required. This had to be done.
I think that you were the point. Someone had to help them resolve this, and so you doing this, they're going to reward you for this. I mean, I know this is going to be a good thing for you.
It had to be somebody that was existing here in 3D right now,
Yeah.
and that's me. I mean, at least I'm one of them. I know I'm not the only one. I mean, you're very important to the process too, and and so everyone has their part, like you said.
Yeah.
Everyone has a different role.